Good evening and welcome to yet another episode of Page Turner. Today we have an author with us whose first novel, Starfish Pickle, went on to become a major motion picture. And here she is with yet another novel, Goagr, and I'm sure the readers would love that too. We have with us today Bina Nayak.
Thank you, Anvesha.
Welcome to the show. Yeah, and Bina, I think Goagr hints at times that none of us wanted to be in, the COVID times.
Yes.
And I'm curious to know whether this novel was set in COVID times, or was it actually written during COVID times?
It was both. It was set and written. It was written towards the end of COVID.
Okay.
And the incidents described, of course, they are fictional and I've added more masala to whatever. Basis is facts.
Right.
Were what happened during the COVID time.
Yeah, and most of us creative people were kind of going through a creative block or a mental block, looking at so many things happening around us, and you could actually carve out a story out of this entire incidences. So how did that happen, Abba?
So see, in the beginning, even I was overwhelmed. Everybody was overwhelmed because I mean, you would open the newspapers, there was actually that ticker, like so many people died, so many people, it was scary to see it on a daily basis. But then overexposure to something also kind of like it becomes common then stop looking at the newspapers only at some point, stop listening to the news, and then what do? So much time on hand. So a lot of people I know, in fact I'm part of a writers group, the Goa writers, we all started writing, and then you're getting in touch with people on email, over phone, over WhatsApp. So that's how we started sharing, because you're not going out meeting people. So online, we had to continue our friendships online, our conversations online. And so we all started writing, I feel. I think the initial fear and the initial block was there, but then we all got over it.
True. And Goagr, as the name suggests, is obviously it has the new media in it. And I think COVID actually, gave that exposure to all this new media. We were there on Instagram and all that, but then there was nothing else that we could do sitting in our houses. And it does talk about this new media. So Bina, do you think that this new media has to find a space in our writings today? And did you attempt to do that in your novel?
I don't know, it's everybody's choice. It's not like it has to, but suppose you were writing something about the current generation or the current times, it is quite natural for it to be in it. So you cannot now write about a world that does not include a mobile phone or does not include somebody checking social media or having an account. So it is a part of our life, and our novels, our stories do reflect lives, unless you're writing a fantasy or then it doesn't happen.
Yeah, very true. And Bina, just like we were talking few days ago, that even government is today taking aid of people who are into this social media. Like we have this new term influencers, which is part of your novel, and like just few days ago our own Goa government had this 30 influencers being felicitated and roped in to take the government schemes ahead. So in your novel, I'm just curious to know whether you have tried to press this alert button of how these influencers and the new media is now playing on us.
I wouldn't call it alert button. In a way I'm alerting people, but it's more like I hope it's the trajectory these influencers will take. So I always say that we are responsible for this, because by that I mean my generation, the people who are now in their 40s and 50s, we were the first adopters of social media, and how we behaved on social media is how it is affecting these people, because they were not even born that time. So many of them were either babies or really young in, let's say, 2007 when Facebook came. So who are they copying? The elders. Who are the elders? We are the elders. We are responsible for this monster. They just took it because it's the next generation. They just took it and they ran with it, and they did things with it which we did not think were possible. But we started it. So I would say I am hoping that, at some point, like even the early few months, like we were all so excited, like getting in touch with all our friends who we had lost touch with,
Yeah.
friends abroad and all, like, you know, school reunions were happening on Facebook, like college reunions. So there was a lot of excitement in the beginning. Then we kind of became a little, okay, it was an addiction.
Yeah.
Then we stabilized and realized that we have to do our regular work and, you know, life has to go on.
Yeah.
I hope that stabilizing thing happens for the influencer, where it is just one of the things they do along with other things. It can't be the only thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't, I call it like maybe it's the starter profession. And what you learn from here, you then take it into, you know, bigger fields and do something bigger, do something better. That's all that we can hope for.
Yeah, like you said, Bina, I think we can't do away with the technology. Now we have to live with it, and we can be only hopeful that it leads to a positive you know, future. Bina, you have been living outside Goa for a long time. Now you're back to Goa. But Goa is a very integral part of both your novels, like the earlier novel also and this novel too. So how far has Goa influenced your writing and your stories in this novel?
So basically I come from a Goan family, so we speak Konkani at home, and even in Bombay, the society that I lived in was filled with Goans too. So every summer vacation from Bombay, we used to take the ship and come to Goa, and I would meet my neighbors. You know, they were also here. Go to Kalangut, your neighbor. Like when we like continue the fights that we were having in Bombay, we would continue here. So Goa for me was this magical place that I came every summer vacation. My family and relatives are equally divided between Bombay and Goa. So weddings, we would be coming here. They would be coming there. So it's always there, you know, like it. But so is Bombay, you know. So if you ask me, I'll say I belong to both. I belong to Goa and to Bombay, and I think I'm mostly in between, not trying to straddle the two boats. I feel that way.
And how it has influenced your writings and stories of your novels,
because you know, because there are more stories in Goa, obviously, because our life in Bombay used to be what, like even as a school kid, it was studies, then school studies, maybe a little bit of play, then tuitions, and you know, it's such a fast life in Bombay. In Goa, like even like, you know, I would see my cousins, it was a little easier, it was a little better. I wouldn't say easier, but the way Goans tend to enjoy life or appreciate the value of life is a lot more than it is in the cities, where it's just commercial. It's just commercialization. You're on that what is it called, the treadmill, and you're just running faster to stay in the same space. You know, so therefore I feel there were so many stories, like you meet your relatives, or even just being around, like you talk to few people and you learn so much in a 5-minute conversation that you could possibly, you'll hear the same things in a 5-hour conversation in Bombay, which will be the trains are late, the buses, there's a problem, there's pollution. The 5 things they talk about, that's all.
True.
So and there's so many stories of, you know, Dyotsar and then the temples and then ghost stories at night, and you know what ghosts we'll see in Bombay. You know, people are ghosts, like they're walking.
Time is the ghost in itself.
Exactly.
And we are so happy that one of those stories actually became a motion picture. So how was that experience? I'm sure, I don't know if you expected this to happen, but how was the entire process of this novel becoming a film?
So I first of all didn't expect to get published also. So for like, it took close to 20 years. Like I'd written this in 2002, like around just before coming to Goa, I had written it, and just as a lark, you know, like while working, and I kept sitting on it because I wasn't sure, you know, that it's good enough. And then much later, I started showing it around, and then like some changes were required, and I didn't even have the time because I would have so much of design work. So in Goa, typically when it rains, you get those 3 weeks free, like you just put your feet up, you can't do anything. Those 3 weeks, I would every year open it and check, you know, like makes and more like. Technology was changing, and I was writing a novel which was based on, you know, like dredging and, you know, Coast Guards and the Navy. Mobile phones came. When I started, there was like email had just started, you know, like Gmail had just started. Then from Nokia we went to smartphones. Like in fact, earlier my characters didn't have phones. They would be like, the secretary would be transferring their calls, and then suddenly I was like, that doesn't make sense. Who does that? Everybody has a mobile. So I had to keep updating it. So over the years that I sat on the story, I was just updating it to modern times, you know. So I'd never expected it to come. It was more like a writing exercise for me. And I consider myself a designer first. I'm an artist. I went to JJ School of Art. So that is my bread and butter. So this was just something I was doing on the side. So the fact that it got accepted. And then again, I think it's timing, because it happened around COVID time. So they were looking for new content for, you know, Netflix and Prime. And so I think that was one of the reasons why I got lucky, I would say. I got published around the right time. Everybody thought this is a problematic time. Who's going to read? Who's going to... But everything has a plus and minus.
Very true, very true. And Bina, like for example, the topics of your novel, like the Goagr, for example, is about technology and the new generation. So does a writer has a target audience in his or her mind when they write? Or did you have a target audience when you wrote these novels?
I did not. See, I don't know whether other writers do that. I would think maybe children's writers do that, because they are very clearly children's writers, and then the language is different. Then even the way you design the book, design the cover is different. So that's a completely separate genre. Maybe like detective and murder mysteries are a separate genre. But the other, like I did not... As I started fleshing out the story and the character, I suddenly realized that, oh, maybe this will appeal to a younger audience. Because if she's an influencer, so then it can be anybody from 15, 16 to 25, you know, or even older. There's no age for influencers now. So that's when I realized maybe, you know, and then when I realized that, then I kind of started paying more attention to the dialogue. Like, okay, it should be young sounding, you know. So, but luckily I have a daughter who's young and they are friends. And I also work with a lot of youngsters, like, you know, the agency that I work in. So I'm like abreast of that. So I guess I did not decide, it just happened. Like the story decided.
Right. And Bina, like you said, you are an illustrator yourself, and you have been there in this field for a long time, and you illustrate your own novels too. So how is that process of illustration? Do you paint them right when you're you know, actually conceptualizing the novel, or you finish the novel and then sit with the designing and the illustration part of it?
I think it's a bit of both. So I mean, obviously, it's something that triggers you. Maybe it's a visual, something. Whatever you see is visual first. You kind of see it first, and then you think about it. Or maybe there's a sound and something that triggers, or you hear a conversation. So for me, it's like I start out, and then sometimes I cannot, like even words are not enough. Like I can't express. I feel like I need to also show it. And then I kind of, in the middle of, like I'll probably keep it aside. I'm usually, if you see my work table, there's a drawing book here. There's like, there's a writing pad, there's a laptop, and there are sketch pens, and like everything is a mess over there. And whatever I want to do, I'll do it right there. There's also a bed, so if I get tired, I just go and I sleep right there. So it's not that I decide, but I feel, I didn't realize that it would help. I thought it was just my quirk, because I'm also an illustrator. And I feel like, oh, just because I'm writing, I should not forget that I'm an illustrator, you know, like I feel that way. But I realized that a lot of the readers, you know, they have come back and they've told me that it has helped, because they can put a face to the character, or they can put a place to location that I've described. They, like, a lot of people may not have been, they have not seen it. So I feel it helps. And then I feel like now, like, you know, people's focus is very divided. Attention spans are very small. So this is my way of keeping them trapped. Like I give them a break with my illustrations, but I ensure that they don't really leave the story.
Very true. And I think you have managed it very well in both your novels.
Thank you.
Bina, before finishing, and I certainly want you to read a small part of the novel, but publishing is a process in itself. And a lot of regional writers, for example, find it hard to find good publishers. So how was this publishing process when it came to your first novel also, and now Goagr also?
So I'll say, I know a lot of people in my writers group also have different ideas, but unless you have a lot of contacts and writing and being, say, suppose if you were a journalist or something, then you do have contacts
True,
within
true.
the thing. But suppose, like me, you are in a different profession and you want to, and you're writing as a hobby,
Yeah.
then you may not have contacts. So I would advise query and get an agent, because that really helps you. Because
Okay.
one, the advantage of having an agent is, first they will have a very they will look at your story very objectively. There is no, we tend to show our friends and
Yeah.
our family, and they will
Very true.
never give you the right advice.
True. True.
Like an agent, and he will just cut through the crap and tell you, he or she will just tell you, this is not going to work, or
Right.
this does not make sense.
True.
And they have, like, if they don't see, they are going to earn when you earn. So they are obviously going to give you
Yeah.
the right advice. If you don't do well, they don't do well.
True,
So I feel, get an agent, and that really helps you, because a lot of the big publishers, they get like thousands of submissions,
Exactly.
unsolicited submissions.
Exactly.
So for the few editors to go through it all, and then God knows how many they get, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's just fatigue,
Yeah.
like maybe you have a good manuscript, but that person has not seen it. If you have an agent, it's like, it goes up on the pile, I feel.
Yeah.
Some people will say that means the other people, who may be better, are going down in the pile. But, that's how life is. We all know that, we
Yeah.
all, what do we do? Why do we go for tuitions? Why do we do all of that?
Exactly.
Because life is a rat race,
True.
So I would say, like, prepare yourself. Also, get an agent, or when you're querying the agent also, like, write a good profile. Do 3 chapters. They will always decide on your first 3 chapters.
chapter.
I tell this to everybody. Ensure that your first 3 chapter gives an idea of the story.
Right.
Don't start don't let them warm up on your 10th chapter. By then people will fall asleep.
True.
So unless you are a very well-known writer, and like who has been there, so people will wait.
Yeah.
Like, I can't get through a Salman Rushdie book
True.
without keeping it aside 2-3 times. It's
Very true.
difficult sometimes.
Very
Because he's a known writer, and I feel like I should kill myself if I don't read it. I force myself. But not everybody is a Salman
Very
Rushdie.
true.
So then you have to kind of get people into your story. So
Yeah.
if you do these things, then I think it's easy.
Yeah, right.
So
And I think
that's-
HarperCollins was a huge publisher.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that they decided to
Yeah.
publish your book. And I hope that the readers also read your book. I'm sure it's already getting a response, and you must be getting the
just started,
reviews
yeah.
through Goagr. And we really hope that, it turns into a better novel, better than Starfish Prickle.
So-
And hopefully, let's hope that another movie is made out of it.
I don't know.
Yeah. Let's hope for the best. So, Bina, before finishing
Yeah.
the
Sure.
today's show, we would want you to read
Yeah.
from Goagr.
So I'll read a chapter which is like a funny episode. So this is chapter 3, and it's called Almost Famous. Now, just a little background, okay? So my protagonist is a Delhi influencer.
Yes.
She's called Madhur Chopra. She calls herself Maddie. She has 2 vlogs. One is Maddie Vlogs from Goa, and one is Mad Fashions.
Okay.
Now, she's a trained fashion designer, but because of COVID, her business is not happening, and
Yeah.
I'm not giving away all the story.
I don't want you to do that
But
too.
so just to
Yeah.
understand the
Yes,
background,
yes.
okay? So why
Yeah.
she's doing. So now she, in this particular thing, she's doing her other blog, which is about Goa and its
Okay.
things. So the chapter is called Almost Famous. Bhaiya, ek roast omelette kitne ka diya? Brother, how much for a roast omelette? She asked the food cart owner. A group of laborers turn around and stare at her. Madhur gets irritated. Side though, she says to them curtly, and moves closer to the cart. Which one you want, madam? The middle-aged man asks her, plating omelettes and pouring ladles of curry on top. His son, standing beside him, sprinkles fistfuls of chopped onion and coriander garnish on top of each plate and serves the laborers. We have chicken roast omelette, fish roast omelette, mutton roast omelette, chicken liver roll and shawarma. She peers inside 3 earthen pots containing curries in 3 different colors: mustard yellow, dark brown, and orangish red. They smell different too. It's time for her sales pitch. Omelette wale bhaiya, my name is Madhur. I'm a famous fashion influencer and travel blogger. He interrupts her. I'm Peter. Don't call me omelette wale bhaiya. Sorry भैया, I mean Peter. So जैसे मैं बोल रही थी, I want to shoot a video of your roast omelette stall. For my Instagram and YouTube channels, I have 50,000 followers. Your stall will become famous. He ponders over her spiel, flipping 4 omelettes on a large skillet and wiping his sweaty brow with his free hand. His son whispers something. Peter shushes him. Means you'll put video on internet? He asks Madhur. Yes, she says triumphantly, relieved that he comprehends her proposal. His son, meanwhile, pulls out an iPhone from his trouser pocket. What's your channel called? I have 2 channels, Maddie Vlogs from Goa and Mad Fashions, she says, and waits as he scrolls. Sogre Dilli videos more. Only 5 from Goa, he says to his dads. Useless. Useless? Madhur asks angrily. I just came here a week ago. I'll make more videos. Just wait and see. Then you'll feel bad you didn't get a video on Maddie Vlogs from Goa. Peter scolds his son and, looking apologetically at Madhur, he asks, why you will put my video on internet? What you want? Before she can respond, he says, I give no money, okay? Madhur swallows hard. Okay, Peter, for you, no money. I will shoot a video of you making the dishes. Then I'll interview you and I'll eat every dish. Madam, looking at your size only, I'm telling you, you will not finish even 1 roast omelette. Forget roll and shawarma. I will taste little by little and take the rest home. Okay then, rupees 350 for 5 items. No, bhaiya, aap samjhe nahi. Sorry, Peter. You give free. Because I'm putting the video on internet, she points to her mobile phone, then my followers will come and eat here. 50,000 people, he asks. Not that many, but 500 for sure. Tomorrow? No, slowly, over a month. Heh, I get more than that every week, he tells her. I close shop now. You buy or not? Peter bhaiya, please, Peter bhaiya. Di rehta ka? Bhik magu yeta hi kalavanta khoi sakun deo jana. Peter starts shouting. His son starts packing rolls and omelets on the double, while Madhur cowers, wondering if she should run again. Take, the son hands her a largish parcel. Interview? She asks. Ghara vats, go home, shouts Peter. A terrified Madhur slings the parcel on a scooter's handlebar and zips away. So,
yeah, I could actually smell the roast omelette. But it is very interesting. It has the essence of Goa, and together with that, the essence of today's technology in it.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's going to be a great read, and
Thank you.
hope our viewers also buy your book, and it's there on all the online platforms.
Yeah,
so,
I can show it.
Yes.
Please. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Do get it.
Yes.
And if you get it from a bookshop, you get a free illustration. So please do that.
Right. So thank you so much to our viewers for joining us on this episode of Page Turner. Do buy the book. It is available online. It's available in most of the bookstores in Goa and outside. And please give your response, your reviews to Bina too. That would help any writer for that matter. Keep following Palashagni Studios and Reads and Books, and do join us for more episodes of Page Turner soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anvesha. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. It was great talking to you.
Same here, Bina. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much.